It seems every time an election comes down the pipeline, these companies, these big tech social media groups, do everything they can to silence anybody on the right, to make sure that the accounts that are funny, that actually can influence elections, that can do anything and have an impact, get suppressed, shadow banned, or even banned outright during these processes. We saw this happen after 2016, of course. A lot of funny accounts, just like Milo Yiannopoulos, like Pizza Party Ben, R.I.P. brother, were purged from Twitter and other sites also. 2020 was even worse. Like standard like news was getting removed from the site. I had a bunch of my posts removed at the time. I got suspended in 2021 because which they said was going to be a permanent suspension based on doing nothing wrong, and I had to appeal it over and over and over again. And now Twitter's actually vowing to make things worse again. And you remember the little markers where they would fact check your tweets for you, even if you just mentioned something, like the algorithm would just go, actually, COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective, right? So they're going to do this again for the 2022 election. They're going to, of course, harass users off the site once more. Gosh, when I had my year-long suspension and I came back, I actually came back to 500 followers less than I had before. Very interesting how that worked. They were just gone, purged from the internet because, Twitter is deeming any dissent to be problematic, and that's what we are dealing with today. Now, I don't usually just talk about elections and things like that. The reason I'm talking about this is social media is culture, and we're fighting the culture war. That is the primary deal of this channel. We just stick to culture as much as possible, and we don't just complain about it. I make my own. This is my comic book, Overmind. It's available for pre-order. I've actually got all of my books on here, so if you want to check things out and actually support our efforts, this would be a great place to do so. We have Subscribestar also for people who want to support the channel, and of course channel memberships too. So thank you everybody who does so. We've been growing like crazy, and I really appreciate you guys, especially in these turbulent times when it looks like they're trying to stack the deck against us like never before. All right. So they already manipulate stuff. I just looked up Mar-a-Lago raid, and I just want to show you how the Google search engine manipulates what you see on this. Now, it was more than just a raid. We're talking 9 hours of dozens of federal agents, armored, let's call them soldiers, because that's what they are with their big guns and everything, occupying a dissident politician's home for 9+ hours. That's more than a raid, okay? That's the type of stuff we used to talk about in Russia with Putin and all that, saying, oh, he's trying to kill his opponents, and we'd flip out about that, saying there's no freedom in these other countries. Well, that's happening here now. And if you look at the reports on it, if you're trying to search for information on it, look what comes up. NPR, official government-sponsored news on it. BBC, of course, a left-wing outlet. The New York Times, one of the worst fake news out there. CNN, the worst fake news out there. New York Mag, AP News, Newsweek, Wired. You don't see anything from Breitbart. You don't see anything from Daily Wire. You don't see any opposition coverage. They get suppressed in the algorithms so that when normal people look this up, they actually can't find the news websites that are actually covering this stuff accurately. And that's how they control the narratives. And on Twitter, it's the same thing. So they've suppressed certain terms and things like that. That is happening for sure. They shadow ban accounts that talk against the narrative. I suffer from that for sure. And here is what they're going to be doing next in this situation. So as the election approaches, starting today, we'll begin enforcing the civic integrity policy in context of the 2022 elections. Here we go. That means we'll take actions against misleading claims, so against truth, as this happens, about the voting process. Misleading content intended to intimidate or dissuade people from participating in the election, or misleading claims that may undermine public confidence in the election outcomes. Well, if there's a problem with the election outcomes, confidence should be undermined in that situation, should it not? So if there is an issue and it's real, it needs to be called out. It needs to be shown. The evidence needs to be posted to social media, because we're not going to be able to find it on Google. They're not going to allow us to see it. So this is the only way that the people can actually have a voice and show the problems that are going on. Now, if they're not allowed to, they're going to get actions taken against them, either shadow banned, or there will be disclaimers posted on their tweets, or their tweets will be removed outright in these situations. This causes a big problem for public discourse because one side's going to get to say everything they want and the other side's not going to, as usual. Now, if you go into the comments of Twitter safeties stuff here, people aren't happy about this. They're saying this is a joke. They know exactly what Twitter's doing. They did this before. This is nothing new. And the people are fed up with this sort of thing. So, this is where it's at. These sites do cause problems. If you look, I put a big marker here, not for Twitter on my little box here, but for Gab, because Gab actually does not manipulate what you see. Twitter manipulates what you see just on a regular basis. So right here, at the top of my tweet thread here, you see where it says latest tweets? There's this star button. So you have to click this very often. And if you don't do latest tweets, you'll see top tweets first. And that's the standard default. So Twitter will actually tell you what you want to see or what they think you should see until you click this little star right here. This is the default version. So it's like this. You click the little star, you'll be on top tweets, and you'll want to go to latest tweets. That way you see everything that you followed in chronological order rather than what Twitter wants to show you. Facebook's done the same thing, except they have no way to get rid of it. So you only get to see what Facebook wants to show you on that site. So these are problems that these sites are having. They're doing it intentionally. And by the way, even if you've clicked latest tweets, they'll shoot you back sometimes. So every month or two, you have to check on it to make sure that it's still there. It's really insidious the way that they try to control information. But Gab doesn't do that. Gab just shows whatever's latest 100%. I've been on this site forever. Of course, they flip out, right, but it's really nice. And the other part is they've got a ban on pornography. And I noticed that a lot of people are posting more and more egregious pornography on Twitter recently, which I don't want to see. And I definitely don't want anybody I got kids at home here and, maybe my screen pops up on Twitter, something nasty pops up because somebody retweeted it. That's not good. Gab bans that outright, which is fantastic. So it's a much safer, much better site that allows you to actually express yourself and allows you to get real information. So that is something that I always recommend all the time, and I'll do so here. All right. Leave a comment with what you think about this down below. Hit that like and subscribe button, everybody. Don't forget to back alternative culture, because this is the only way we're going to succeed in the long term, is if we make our own culture and do something to fight against Disney and all their propaganda that they're pushing through all these outlets. And that's what we're trying to do. All right. Thanks, guys. See you.